This is the Parallelogram Law, and that's what your book calls it. I've never necessarily heard it called that. But here's the idea. Let's say you're given two vectors and the angle between them. We'll say that's vector v, and some other vector u. And all the parallelogram law says is that if we make a parallelogram out of these sides, so in other words, if I take u here and I put it on the end of this, like this, then that's really u, okay? And if I take v and I put it on the end of this, this is v, and they're gonna end at the same point, and it's the opposite side. It is the opposite side of a parallelogram. Okay, so you're given like this angle and these two sides, and then what you're going to do, the resultant vector here is actually the diagonal of this parallelogram. And what you can see here is that if I took v and I added u, v and u, that would be the same as taking u and then adding v. Okay, so v plus u is the same as u plus v. And so vector addition is commutative. And then what you can do is you're going to be able to use this angle to find the other angles. And the way you do that is that a parallelogram, the opposite angles of a parallelogram are equal. That's a theorem from geometry. So these are equal and those are equal. And then the sum of the angles is 360 degrees. And you're going to be able to use that to find the distance between, I'm sorry, you're going to be able to use that to find this angle here. And then you're going to be able to use the law of cosines. You're going to be able to use the law of cosines to find the diagonal, and then the law of sines to find the angle. Okay, just like we did in the previous example. So let me just give you an example of what this is like, what a problem might look like. It says here, suppose the angles between two vectors u and v is 68 degrees. And u, the magnitude of u is 18, and the magnitude of v is 11. What is the magnitude of the resultant vector, and what angle does it make with the shorter side, with the shorter vector? Okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw these two vectors. Okay? So there is one that's 18, and another one that's 11, and the angle between them is 68 degrees. So maybe something like this. This would be u, and this would be v. The angle between them would be 68 degrees. And now you want to find the resultant vector. You want to know the magnitude of the resultant vector and the angle that it makes with the shorter side. Okay, so what I'm going to do is make the parallelogram. I'm going to take this, put it up on here, and that would be like that. And then this goes up here, so something like that. Okay, so now the resultant vector would be here to here, like that. And so we want to find the magnitude of that and the angle, this angle here that it makes with the shorter vector. Okay? So, we're going to do kind of what we did last time. This is V, so this is 11, the magnitude of V. The magnitude of U is equal to 18. We'll call the magnitude of the resultant C. So I get that C squared is equal to, now I'm going to use the law of cosines. Oh, before we can do that, we need to know what this angle is. So all of these add up to 360. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 360 degrees minus 2 times 68 degrees, okay? So I would take 360 minus 2 times 68, and I get 224 degrees. Okay, now this has to be divided evenly. These two are equal. Okay, so then I need to take 224 degrees and divide that by 2. Oops. And I get 112 degrees. So this is 112 degrees. So now I'm going to use the law of cosines. So 18 squared plus 11 squared. This is the two sides and that angle. So minus 2 times 18 times 11 times cosine 112 degrees. So C squared is equal to 18 squared plus 11 squared minus 2 times 18 times 11 times cosine of 112 degrees. So you get this whole thing, 593.344211, so on. And so C is just going to be the square root of all this. And I get 24.4 when I round to the nearest tenth. So that's the magnitude here. Okay, so U plus V, the magnitude is 24.4. So now what we want to do is we want to find the angle that this makes with the shorter side. Okay, so maybe it's easier to see the resultant. So what I want to do is I want to find this angle here. Okay, so this is 112 degrees. This is 24.4, and I want this angle, so this is 18 and that's 11. So I can use the law of sines now. So this is the angle I want to find. So basically I have sine theta is to 18 as sine of 112 degrees is to 24.4. So sine theta is equal to sine 112 degrees over 18 times over 24.4 times 18. So sine 112 divided by 24.4 times 18. Oh, let me try that again. Sine of 112 divided by 24.4, multiply that by 18, and so this is like 0.6839, so on. and so my theta is sine inverse of 0.6839. So I'm going to do sine inverse of the answer, and I get approximately 43.2 degrees when I round to the nearest 10. So the magnitude then is 24.4. The angle that it makes with the shorter side is 43.2. And so that's using the parallelogram law then to add the vectors and find the magnitude and the angle of the resultant vector. And that resultant vector will be, the angle will be with respect of one of the two given vectors. So now in the next video, next several videos, we're going to do some applications with this.